Asterisk asterisk the werewolf experiment asterisk asterisk in a small, dimly lit laboratory on the outskirts of the city. Dr. Eleanor Finch was conducting her latest series of controversial experiments. She was obsessed with the boundaries between human and beast, driven by a need to understand the primal instincts lurking within all creatures. Her lab, hidden within a dense forest, was filled with cages, strange apparatus, and the scent of chemicals. Eleanor's latest subject was a local vagabond named Lucas, who had volunteered for the experiments in exchange for a place to stay and a promise of coin. Little did he know, Eleanor's experiments were far from ordinary. She had obtained a rare and ancient serum, rumored to awaken the latent beast within a person, transforming them into something more, something monstrous. The first injection seemed to do nothing, much to Eleanor's disappointment. Lucas felt a mild fever, but nothing more. She continued to administer doses over the following weeks, meticulously recording every change. Gradually, Lucas began to exhibit unusual symptoms, heightened senses, a rapid increase in muscle mass, and an unsettling aggression that flared without warning. One moonless night, the transformation began in earnest. Lucas's screams echoed through the forest as his body contorted and bones cracked. His hands elongated into claws, his teeth sharpened into fangs, and a thick layer of fur sprouted across his skin. Drive. Finch watched in awe and horror as Lucas became a creature of nightmares, a werewolf. The beast that was once Lucas broke free from its restraints, driven mad by the pain and the new, overpowering instincts. It lunged at Eleanor, who barely escaped with her life, locking herself in a reinforced room. The werewolf rampaged through the lab, smashing equipment and ripping apart cages. Eleanor listened in terror as the sounds of destruction slowly faded into the distance. The werewolf had escaped into the forest, disappearing into the night. She knew the creature would be drawn to the nearby village of Hop, where the scent of humans would be irresistible. As dawn broke, the villagers of Hop awoke to find their peaceful hamlet torn apart. Livestock lay slaughtered, and claw marks gouged into doors and walls. Panic spread quickly, and the villagers armed themselves, forming hunting parties to track down the beast. But Dr. Finch, knowing the true nature of the werewolf, feared for their safety. She gathered her notes and set out for Hop, determined to find a way to reverse the transformation and save Lucas. But as she reached the village, she realized the full extent of her folly. The werewolf was not the only creature she had unleashed. Something darker, more sinister, lingered in the shadows of her laboratory, a force that had been awakened by her experiments. With the villagers on edge and the werewolf lurking in the forest, Eleanor knew that her time was running out. She had to find Lucas before the next full moon, or the beast within him would become permanent. And as she delved deeper into her research, she discovered a chilling truth. The serum she had used was not the only one of its kind. There were others hidden away in forgotten places, waiting to be found. The hunt for the werewolf had only just begun, and the dark experiments of Dr. Eleanor Finch would haunt the village of Hop for years to come. The true horror, however, was yet to be revealed, as the shadows of the past closed in and the line between man and beast blurred ever further. Asterisk asterisk the werewolf experiment part 2 asterisk asterisk the village of Hop was enveloped in a shroud of fear. As dusk fell, the villagers barricaded their homes, their eyes darting to every shadow, ears straining for any hint of the lurking menace. Drive. Eleanor Finch, armed with her research and a heavy dose of guilt, ventured into the heart of the village, hoping to find allies who could help her locate and save Lucas before the next full moon. Eleanor approached the village elder, a stooped man with a weathered face named Tobias, who listened to her tale with a grave expression. He gathered the most trusted villagers, hunters, trackers, and those who had a vested interest in ending the terror plaguing their home. Together, they formed a plan to capture the werewolf alive, giving Eleanor the chance to administer a potential antidote she had been working on. Under the cover of night, the hunting party set out, armed with silver-tipped weapons and traps. Eleanor carried a syringe filled with the experimental antidote, her hands trembling with the weight of her hopes and fears. The forest was eerily silent, the usual nocturnal sounds absent, as if the very woods themselves were holding their breath. Hours passed with no sign of the werewolf. The tension among the group was palpable, and just as despair began to set in, a distant howl shattered the stillness. The sound was both mournful and terrifying, a chilling reminder of the creature they pursued. The hunters moved cautiously, following the sound until they came upon a clearing bathed in moonlight. There, at the center of the clearing, stood the werewolf. Its eyes glowed with an unholy light, and its breath came in ragged gasps. The beast was surrounded by the remains of its latest victims, the grisly scene a testament to its savage nature. The hunters fanned out, preparing to spring their trap, but Eleanor stepped forward, her voice trembling as she called out to Lucas. "Lucas, it's me, Eleanor. Please, I know you're still in there. Let me help you." For a moment, the werewolf's gaze softened, a flicker of recognition in its eyes. But the primal instincts soon took over, and it roared, lunging at Eleanor. The hunters acted swiftly, their traps closing around the beast, ensnaring it in a web of silver chains. Eleanor approached cautiously, the syringe in hand, and injected the antidote into the werewolf's neck. The transformation was immediate and violent. Lucas's body convulsed, and the beastly features began to recede. After a few agonizing moments, he lay on the ground, human once more but weak and disoriented. The hunters moved to help him, but Eleanor's relief was short-lived. She knew that their victory was only temporary. As they returned to the village, a sense of unease settled over Eleanor. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Back in her laboratory, she pored over her notes, trying to understand what had gone wrong. It was then that she found a hidden compartment in the old wooden box that had contained the serum. Inside was a brittle, yellowed parchment covered in ancient runes. With growing dread, Eleanor deciphered the text, realizing that the serum she had used was part of a much larger and darker ritual. The transformation was not a side effect but the intended result, designed to unleash a greater evil upon the world. Eleanor's heart pounded as she read the final lines. The ritual was incomplete. The true horror had not yet been unleashed, but it was only a matter of time. She needed to find the other serums and stop whoever was behind this ancient curse. But as she turned to leave the lab, she heard a faint whisper, a voice that seemed to come from the shadows themselves. "You cannot stop what has already begun, Dr. Finch. The beast is only the beginning." Eleanor spun around, her eyes wide with terror, but there was no one there. The lab was empty, save for the eerie echo of the voice. She knew then that her fight was far from over. The village of Hop and the world beyond faced a darkness far greater than she had ever imagined, and she was the only one who could stop it. With renewed determination, Eleanor gathered her notes and prepared to embark on a new journey, one that would take her to the darkest corners of the earth in search of answers. The true battle was just beginning, and the shadows were closing in. The Werewolf Experiment Part 3 Doctor. Eleanor Finch's resolve was steely as she gathered her notes and set out on a quest to prevent the impending darkness. She traveled far and wide, delving into forgotten libraries and seeking out hidden sects of scholars who had guarded ancient secrets for generations. Each clue brought her closer to the truth and to a growing realization of the scale of the threat she faced. Months passed, and Eleanor's journey led her to the Carpathian Mountains, where the final serum was said to be hidden. The village of Hop had slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, though the scars of the werewolf attacks remained. Lucas had recovered physically, but the psychological trauma lingered, his dreams haunted by the beast he had become. As Eleanor climbed the rugged mountains, she could feel the weight of destiny pressing upon her. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence enveloped the landscape. She finally reached a secluded monastery, a place untouched by time, where the monks guarded the secrets of the ancient serum. The abbot, an old man with piercing eyes, greeted her with a somber expression. "You seek to stop the darkness, but know that the path you tread is perilous. The final serum is here, but it comes with a great price." Eleanor nodded, undeterred. She followed the abbot into the depths of the monastery, where an ancient vault held the vial containing the final serum. It glowed with an unnatural light, pulsing with malevolent energy. As Eleanor reached for it, the abbot's warning echoed in her mind. You cannot use it to reverse the curse, only to contain it. But doing so will bind your soul to the darkness, sacrificing yourself to save the world. Eleanor hesitated, but only for a moment. She knew what had to be done. With trembling hands, she took the vial and prepared the containment ritual. The ancient words flowed from her lips, and the room darkened as the shadows gathered, drawn to the serum. As the ritual neared completion, a force like a tidal wave surged through Eleanor. Pain unlike any she had ever known racked her body, and she fell to her knees. The darkness coiled around her, seeping into her very essence. She could feel her soul being pulled into an abyss, a void of despair and malevolence. Back in the village of Hop, the skies darkened as a storm unlike any other descended. The villagers huddled in their homes, fear gripping their hearts. Lucas, sensing something amiss, ventured into the forest, drawn by a force he could not comprehend. In the monastery, Eleanor's body lay still, her eyes open but unseeing. The ritual had succeeded in containing the darkness, but at a terrible cost. Her soul was bound to the serum, trapped in an eternal struggle against the malevolent force. Lucas arrived at the monastery, finding the abbot and the lifeless body of Eleanor. The abbot's face was etched with sorrow as he explained what had transpired. Lucas knelt beside Eleanor, grief and rage mingling in his heart. As the storm raged outside, Lucas made a vow. He would continue Eleanor's fight, seeking a way to free her soul and end the curse once and for all. But as he took up her notes, a cold whisper echoed through the room, chilling him to the bone. You cannot stop what has already begun. The darkness will consume all. Lucas knew that the battle was far from over. The shadows had claimed Eleanor, and they were growing stronger. The village of Hop and the world beyond teetered on the brink of an abyss from which there might be no return. And as the storm clouds gathered, a new howl echoed through the night, a chilling reminder that the beast within was far from vanquished. The true horror was only beginning, and the darkness was closing in, hungrier than ever.